Not sure if there's a theme for this shelf at all or not. It looks like I had to make this like a taller shelf on these adjustable shelves for the Tintin books. So that was probably the starting point. But I've got like all these volumes of Powers, which is, I believe, the entire run. And then, yeah, I've got Tintin and some asterisks here. And then some kind of random stuff in the middle. So here, let's start with Powers. This is drawn by Michael Avon Oeming. And actually, I'll open up a later volume as an example of his work, because the first volume, maybe not the greatest example. Very simplistic, again, kind of like a Mignola-esque style. But a little rougher, maybe a little less intentional than Mignola, who, if you look at his older work, Mignola was like a very detail-oriented, like other traditional comic artists, and then eventually kind of, how do you say, like filtered his style down to like the essentials and kind of worked down to there, whereas Avon Oeming, his style seems kind of more like he maybe started at the simplified level, if that makes sense. Okay, sure. Let's open up a volume. Like it kind of feels like this is just guesswork, but it just kind of feels like he kind of started at this point, as opposed to having like a foundation in, or a background in a bit more kind of realism. So the thing I always try and like, when you hit volume 7 of Powers, it really is a mind bender, and it really kind of makes everything read up until that point really kind of worth it. It's like this crazy reveal in the plot that is just so unexpected and so like game changing. But it's always kind of weird to say, like, especially this is something people say with video games is, hey, play this game. It's not very good to start, but once you hit the 20-hour mark, it's really good. It's like, well, do you want to really play 20 hours of a game before it starts to get good? So it's always the kind of conflict I have when I recommend this book is, I mean, I think it starts out really strong. I think it's good the whole way through, but it's so worth it when you hit volume 7. So I take that as you will. Cosmic. So this follows like two detectives in a world with superheroes, and it's kind of like, again, this is kind of more grounded, even more so than Alex Ross books, where, well, okay, if you have a superhero like Superman and he dies, how do you perform an autopsy on his body to find out what happened to him if your tools can't penetrate his invulnerable skin, right? Or yeah, it asks those kind of questions and takes like a more grounded human, like street level approach to a world with superheroes, and it's really compelling. I really think it's worth reading, even if you don't like the art, which I think that was the primary reason I started collecting it. But then once I got hooked on the story, this is one of the few stories that I collected, especially the entire series, almost more for the writing than the art, by Brian is it Brian Bendis? No, it's Michael Avon Oeming, Brian Bendis, yeah. So obviously he's a very well-known author in comics. He's done a lot of other stuff, but he really shines in this. And they did, I don't know if it was Netflix, they did a TV series, and it starred Eddie Izzard, or maybe not starred, but he was a big part of it. He was like the villain, maybe. But I think I heard that it wasn't very good. So don't confuse the TV series with this. The book is very, very good. He did this book, Michael Von Oeming, Bastard Samurai. I seem to remember really liking this one. Or did I? maybe I'm confusing this. I have a spreadsheet where I track like the ratings that I give to things when I read them and that kind of thing. I don't remember offhand. I might be confusing this with that Kent William Fight for Tomorrow book that I showed just on the previous shelf. He did this book, Michael von Oeming, he did Mice Templar. He does some nice watercolors too. This is very kind of like, got a 2000s feel to it. Neat art. I seem to remember the story was kind of just, you know, standard comic fare. Okay, we've got some Ed McGuinness here, Mr. Majestic. What even is this? Is this Marvel? Wildstorm. I'm not familiar with this character at all. And it looks like this is pretty early. Style-wise for him. Maybe? Hard to tell looking through the camera again. Superman, Batman. I was subscribed to the serial issues of this at the time, if I recall. Or no, he was doing Superman. I don't know if these were included, but yeah. He was doing Superman, and then he did Hulk. I think I was subscribed to both of those at the time. Like through my local comic shop. Really love his work. I really like the musculature anatomy. Similar to what's his name? The guy who did Invincible. Can't remember his name off the top of my head. The artist. Yeah, similar kind of how like every character is kind of super buff and ripped and every single muscle is exposed. Like that stuff. It's a good inspiration too for like an amateur artist to kind of study muscles and to see all the muscles from different angles and all these like action poses and stuff. Yep. So he's done a lot of Hulk work. Even many more books than I have here. I think there are at least like 4, maybe 6 volumes or something of things. Yeah, I don't need to go through them all. Let's see, because we've got some others. I've got a couple more here. Nova. There's an Avengers book I've had on my wish list for a long time. Just really enjoying this cover, actually. Cool. Okay. All right, and then we've got our Humberto Ramos, who was unfortunately relegated to the shelf from my cliffhanger shelf on the other unit. So we've got 2 volumes of Fairy Quest. Did he do more than 2 though? Maybe not, because I feel like I would have collected it if he had done more than story. But great art. Yeah, I don't remember the story being particularly memorable or well written. Oh, these are like barely fitting in there with like a centimeter or something to spare. I've got to find a better balance of showing the interiors of every book and not showing anything at all, like when I missed the Akira books and stuff. All right, here we have, this is his actual cliffhanger series, Crimson. For some reason I forgot the name when I was showing my cliffhanger shelf. But yeah, this is his creator-owned series, 4 volumes. We'll show the covers. Maybe I'll show art from like one of the later volumes. For the longest time, I just had 2 volumes, and it took me a while to track down the others. Because at the time that these released, I think think I only actually collected the serials of Battle Chasers, and then all these others I had to find in trade paperback form later on, which is all fine because I prefer collecting trade paperbacks. I don't really typically collect serializations these days, unless like I suspect that maybe it'll never be collected, or it's just an artist I really, really love, like Joe Mad, and I just can't wait until it's all collected later on. Here's an interesting book he did. This is like it's not really action. The last volume of Crimson is Redemption. Is that the last one? Yeah, volume 4. And this one's called Revelations. I was kind of confused those a little. But this is about is it a private eye, I think, who's investigating a murder at the Vatican. I was watching that movie. What's that recent movie about the Pope dying? And I forget. It was like kind of like a thriller, somewhat, if I recall. And that reminded me about this. And I recently reread this because of that. What was that movie called? It was like a single word. I don't know. Okay, we've got some more Ramos. We've got Extraordinary X-Men. Ooh, really like the cover on this too. I feel like his style kind of, like, it's evolved a lot over time. Is that a J. Scott Campbell cover? Like, this is very different from his Crimson style, where everyone's got like kind of teeny little heads and gigantic feet. But I think even in his modern work, his style kind of varies quite a bit. Actually, I had the pleasure of watching him do a sketch duel in person. He was battling Mike Del Mundo, who's one of my favorite artists, and that was really, really cool. That was at Fan Expo here in Toronto a few years ago. We got Champions. I was watching also Ink Pulp had an interview with him. What was that? Had an interview with him recently, and my God, he's the most humble man in existence. He's so nice. It was like Matteo Scalera and Eric Canetti, and who's the host? Sean something. And they're always like kind of, like teasing each other and stuff, kind of being like, not mean, but they have like that kind of relationship. And they had Humberto on, and he was just the nicest guy. He was like, I love you guys, and it's such an honor to be here, and such a sweet man. And like, especially for someone so talented, he's so humble. It's really refreshing. All right, we've got Sean Murphy here for a good chunk here. Okay, so American Vampire. This one was actually really good. I should reread this. I really liked this story. I think similar vibes that I get whenever I think of this one or the BPRD Vampire by Gabriel Ba. I always think one or the other. One reminds me of the other. Looks like it was written by Scott Snyder. Punk Rock Jesus. Oops, something fell there. Oh, it's like one of those little tags that's supposed to prevent you from shoplifting. Pretty sure I got this on Amazon though. Okay, Chrononauts Volume 1. This is the one that Eric Canetti did a sequel to, which is super cool. I think I read Canetti's before I read this one. And is this? Oh, this is by. Oh, right. Of course, this is by Mark Millar. This is part of the Millarverse. All right, we got. So then he's got the White Knight series. Batman White Knight. Is this the first one? I can never remember the order of these. I remember really liking the first one, and the follow-ups maybe a little less so, except for there's one that had Matteo Scalera art, and I'm a massive fan of him. He's so good. Scalera looks like this one. So I think this is both Scalera and Sean Murphy. That's Matteo. Oh no, look, it looks like it's all Matteo. So maybe it was just written by Sean Murphy. Love his work so much. I can't wait. He's got a Kickstarter coming up for creator-owned book of his called like The Fourth Father or something like that. Oops, did I put that out of order? Anyway, and then there's this one too, Batman Beyond. Yeah, but that hasn't been released yet, so I'm on like the mailing list to be announced when that's launched. Stoked for that. I love everything he did. I recently read Scalera did a Batman Mr. Freeze story. That was also really good. I think he's a good habit of teaming up with good writers as well. I think most of his stuff is quite well written. All right, this is crap, it's hard to read through the camera. What's his name? Timothy Green II. I'm a fan of his. I don't know how big his... Oops, that wasn't... This is his work here. It looks like there's some other artists in the back. Oops, what did I drop there? He's also a really nice guy. So he was on, what's that site, DeviantArt? He was pretty active on DeviantArt for a while. And I was just like, I commented on like one of his drawings. I was like, oh, I'm such a big fan. And he private messaged me and he was like, hey, I want to send you a sketch for your nice words. Like, where can I send this? It just like for nothing. He sent me this amazing, maybe I can superimpose it. I don't know if I have a copy of it. It's a sketch of his. I've got it in a frame at work. So I'd probably not be hard to get a hold of that, but maybe I can superimpose it here. Really nice, like something that any other artist would charge you like $300 for or more. He just gave it to me because I commented on his social media. It was just such a nice guy. I feel like he may be, and he said some nice things. Actually, he commented on my art too. He was like, hey, I love your composition and stuff. What a nice guy. So this is a Chinese artist named, he goes by Benjamin, Bin Zhang, I think is his name. He's got this crazy digital painting style. Really gorgeous. Not sure about the story. I don't remember. I kind of feel like I remember the story being a little nonsensical. Maybe I should reread these. Look at that, man. That's, oh. And I don't know, like he's got these 2 volumes, and then I've got, oh yeah, this other one here, which is in German, so I've never read it. I couldn't find an English version of this. But I don't know if he has other work aside from these. I think I've seen him he did like a Emma Frost cover, I want to say, for like a Marvel book. Maybe a couple other Marvel things. But aside from that, I don't know if I've seen him do any other books, especially interiors. Should look into that because he's really good. Okay, we've got some David Wenzel. I had 2 copies of Hobbit. I don't know what happened to the second one. Am I like looking right at it and it's hard to tell on the camera? Okay, got so he's like this old school comic painter. Ooh, Kurt Busiek. The Wizard's Tale. Oof, this is stiff. All right. Really good. Oops. Should go back through these. He's so good. Let me just fix that dust cover. Warlords. This is a book. This is like 2nd volume or something. Yeah, I can't tell from looking at it. Just randomly saw this in a comic shop. I think I was already familiar with David Wenzel at that point, and did I see his name on the spine or something? I was like, yeah. Because one of my pet peeves with comic shops or like the comic section at a bookstore like Chapters or Indigo is they'll have like this whole line of comics where you just see the spines. And I guess the way that most people collect is they'll collect by like the series, like they're looking for Spider-Man or they're looking for Author or something. It's a lot easier to find books that way. But if you're looking for comics for the art, and especially to discover new artists, it's really difficult to browse a bookshelf like that. So I'll go into Indigo, and I'll go to the comic section. I'll just pull every book one after the other to see. And the tough thing with that too is a lot of the time the cover artist is different than the interior artist. So it's not even a good, oh, there's the other one. Yeah, they're both in there. So it's not even a good indicator then of something that might appeal to me, right? Because there might be like an Alex Ross cover, but art by someone that I am not a fan of. Yeah, so there's the second. I guess I could show the different cover. Yeah, so I mentioned this before, but my mom bought me. I don't like how this is kind of bending the other books. My mom bought me The Hobbit one year for Christmas, and then forgot and got me the same book, well, the different edition, the next year. Hard Boiled by Jeff Darrow. He's got this very detailed style. Crazy, like all those scenes with like all those cars and like a million people in the crowd and everything. So detail oriented. Is that the only Jeff Darrow book I have? Maybe. Here's one issue of Batman Damned, which is notorious for the first appearance of Batman's penis. Is this the right volume actually for that? Maybe not. Maybe it's one of the different issues. Yeah, I don't have the collection, just this one issue. I think I read the whole thing in like an ebook or something. All right, we've got Black Sad. So this is a really good book. It's like this European artist, what's his name? Juanjo Guarnido. And it's about like this cat detective in like a kind of Zootopia world. Very Zootopia, but like mature. Yeah, that's a good way of describing it, actually. Zootopia is about those two police detectives investigating like these, I don't know, criminal underground, whatever. And this is basically the same thing, but a mature version. There's sex and violence, and yeah, it's really good. And then there's this other volume. Here, so I was talking in the last update video about I kickstarted the Art of Bengal. Here's actually a book of his, Lumine. So you can see a bit of what his work looks like if you're unfamiliar. I think he's in France. And then Tintin. Do I want to show all the Tintins? I mean, if you're not familiar with Tintin, I don't even know how to pronounce the artist's name. Is it Herge? Like, you should be familiar with Tintin even if you don't know comics. And then Asterix. Let's just grab a random volume there. Asterix is pretty, like, I grew up on these two. Just when we went to the library as kids, Tintin and Asterix is what we always grabbed. What we always gravitated towards. All right, this next shelf is it seems kind of random, but there's some collections of artists that I like. So we've got a couple Matteo Scaleras. We've got Mahmud Asrar. I think that's like this whole chunk. There's a little bit of Afu Chan. This is all Mike Del Mundo. This is just a series of random artists, but like them all. Let's see. Yeah, just kind of a lot of random. A bit of Jim Lee, Marian Churchland. Oh, there's more Corey Lewis here. And then some Brandon Graham. All right, so first we've got the first two volumes of X-Men Essential, and I got this for the John Byrne art. Right? John Byrne? Who, man, oh my God. Like, despite the story being super silly, like, I don't know, is this the 70s, 80s? Man, his art is like flawless. Like to this day, it holds up so well. Just everything about the art is just so good. So I've got 2 volumes of those, and these are both primarily by him. So like, wow, what a treat. And like, it's on this cheap newsprint, which made it like really affordable. So that's cool. I've got the first 2 volumes of the original Dragon Ball, which, like I've mentioned a few times, I grew up on the original Dragon Ball cartoon. I've watched some Dragon Ball Z, but not enough to like get the references really that everyone talks about. Oh, there's some color panels in there. But yeah, the original Dragon Ball is really what I'm more a fan of. Second volume there. And I've got an art book. I think I must have shown it on the other shelf already. All right, so we got Matteo Scalera, Space Bandits. So this is, Mark Millar, so Netflix. Were they going to do a show of this or something? Yeah. Not usually a big fan of like specific authors, but Mark Millar, obviously, really good. Again, Mark Millar. This is part of the Millarverse? I don't know if this made an appearance in any of the other Millar World properties, but maybe it did. Or maybe it just takes place in that same universe. What an incredible artist. And he's also, he seems to be kind of humble for how incredibly good he is. Even though he's jokingly full of himself in the Ink Pulp podcast, which that's something I've started listening to a bit more. And he's one of the kind of regular hosts on that show. So, okay, so we've got, this is Mahmud. Yeah, Mahmud Asrar. So we've got all new, all different Avengers. I guess his style's evolved quite a bit, actually. Especially if you look at like the faces on these characters. I don't remember what. Oh, you know what I think it was? I got a Mike Del Mundo book, and I think it had some art by Asrar, and that's what kind of got me into collecting Asrar. Nice Alex Ross cover. Actually, even going back to like his older style here, I really like it. I think the colorist should be complimented too. It's not, colors aren't like screaming amazing to me, like they're not really standing out too much, but I think they complement his style quite a bit, as opposed to like a lot of the time, like a colorist can make or break a book, I feel. And it's really unfortunate when a good, really, really good artist, when their work is overshadowed and kind of maybe even ruined. Maybe that's too harsh, but ruined by the color work. So I think this fits, is all I'm trying to say here. There's the one. So this is Mike Del Mundo. Man, his interiors. I don't know why this is in my Mahmud Asrar as opposed to my Mike Del Mundo collection though. Look at those interiors. They're so cinematic. They're so crisp, and like the colors are incredible. The pacing and the composition. Oh my God. He does not get enough credit for his interior work. Like he is super creative. I was saying before that I'm not a big fan of cover art, but he's like one exception where he does really creative covers that are just like, you look at them and you're like, wow, how can someone be so creative? But his interior work is just something else. It's on another level. And I don't hear anyone ever talking about. They're always talking about Mike Del Mundo cover, Mike Del Mundo cover. Oh, here's some more. Weird. Weird that I have this in my Asrar section instead of my Del Mundo section. because I would say I'm more of a Del Mundo fan, especially when we're talking interiors, than a Asrar fan. Oh, this one doesn't even... Yeah, that one's not even any Del Mundo. Maybe that's why, because this book, these two volumes are both by Asrar, but only one of them is by Del Mundo. So that's probably why, because I wanted to group them together. Made a bit more sense, probably. Yeah, we've got a few more books here. X-Men Red. Oh, this is a Travis Charest cover, I think. We were talking about him recently. Yep. Good stuff. Yeah. There are certain elements of his art that, like, really appeal to me. Oh, more Charest. That's really good. The way, like, he does lips and, like, the connection between lips and chin. Kind of weird, but I like the way he does, like, women's breasts. They're a little more... They look more like natural, and like you can tell there's gravity affecting them, as opposed to like these just spheres just strapped to someone's chest. It was like some Neil Francis Yu or something. So that's something I've always really liked about his style. We've got Conan the Barbarian, which I was talking about this before. Really good colors, actually. I was talking about how the story is really, how do you see, it's really condensed. It's trying to get like the entire story of Conan into just a few volumes. And so it feels really rushed. It feels really, yeah. So not a big fan of the writing, but it's cool because I've never really read Conan before. It is cool to get an overview of, I'm assuming this is what happened in other books. But yeah, the art is amazing. And he's like some spreads in there where he does his own watercolors, pinups and stuff. So that's really cool. And then there's a third volume called King Conan that's in my currently reading, or not my currently reading, but maybe my like currently like overflow for... I've read it, but I have nowhere to place it yet because this shelf is full. So anyway, Afu Chan, Immortal Iron Fists. Really like this artist. He's got a really unique style too. Really like dynamic and like cool like colors and hard to put words to what I like. A lot of this cool foreshortening, dynamic perspective stuff. Great colors. I don't know if that's his colors or not, but he does color a lot of his own books. And yeah, more like dynamic stuff there. And just like if you look like at the, I don't know, just like the details and the textures and stuff, and I don't know, really good stuff. He did this series Outer Darkness. There's 3 volumes. And okay, actually, let me show the cover, but the second volume is the one that I really liked, story-wise especially. So it's like this melding of like this outer space fantasy adventure, but it's got, it focuses on like magic, which is really cool because you usually associate magic with like fantasy, but here it's kind of a marriage of sci-fi and fantasy in terms of adding magic to a sci-fi setting. So really, really cool. And like a little bit of horror thrown in there as well, if I remember. I really liked that, and it really came into its own in the second volume. It's too bad that this was a crossover with Chew. It's too bad that I think that's the end of the series, because that was really, really good. Really underrated, I think. Is this all Del Mundo? I think so. Wow. Okay. So we got Elektra. This is earlier work of his, I guess. Like just like even the panel arrangement and design and the colors. I think this is all him. Like aside from writing, like the colors. I guess it's just fully digital. So, I guess one thing I was curious about is because a lot of comic artists make a big chunk of their income is my understanding from selling their original art, right? If you're working purely digital, you're speeding up your process. You're able to do more books, like maybe multiple books a month or something, but then you're losing out on, like, I don't know how much they get paid for a page of interiors, but single pages of original art can go for, if you're a really famous artist, they can go for like $1,000 plus, or like $500. So I'm really curious how that affects digital artists, right? Because you can't sell a digital page in the same way. So, there's some non-Del Mundo in there. All right, let's see if I'll show like one volume from each series here. So we got a couple volumes of Weird World. Like, look at this, the colors, the composition, he does like this depth of field effect on, like right there, on a lot of things. It really kind of like, it's just like excellent composition. Just, it makes you feel like you're in an actual, like the characters are in an actual environment instead of just framed for a pinup drawing, right? It feels like there's things happening around the subjects, around the panel, that you're just taking a snapshot of. Avengers Unleashed, covers by Alex Ross again, it looks like. In fact, I started a couple fan art groups on Facebook, one for Mike Del Mundo and one for Eric Canetti, and I kind of gave up on that because there was too much to manage. But a lot of people joined, including Mike Del Mundo joined the Mike Del Mundo group. That was cool. But I tried to make an emphasis in the Mike Del Mundo group on his interiors because I didn't feel like that was appreciated enough. And I don't remember if I got many comments, but there was like likes and stuff. And so yeah, I really wish more people would talk about that. Or I think he was interviewed on Ink Pulp. Was it Ink Pulp, or maybe it was a different podcast? Okay, we've got Thor. There's 3 volumes for this one. So again, we'll just look at one. That's some other artist. Here we go. Like, leave a comment if you if you appreciate Mike Del Mundo's interiors as much as I do. It's hard to tell just from this. I do plan to do like some flip throughs at some point of his interior work. If I haven't already, I forget at the moment. It's just like, oh man, if I could have. So he's gone on. He's doing this. He's got this project called what's it called? 3 Worlds, 3 Moons, 3 Worlds, or something like that. And I'm really confused as to how it works. It's not very clear, but it's like this digital universe. Where he's hired all these writers and illustrators, and they're creating all this content on this universe that I think he created, maybe he collaboratively with the other artists. But it's primarily only digital comics, and you have to like subscribe to this platform. And it's this really weird thing where like, I kind of just want to like read the Mike Del Mundo comics, and it'd be nice to have them in print too, but it's not clear how I read just the content by him, how I subscribe to it, what's included. I even asked on Instagram, and a member of his team, replied trying to answer my question, but it still wasn't clear to me like how this subscription model works. So that's a little weird. I kind of just want more Mike Del Mundo content, but it's confusing how to access that via the 3 Moons, 3 Worlds, or is it 3 Worlds, 3 Moons? Something like that. Anyway, we got a couple of Adam Hughes here. I guess he doesn't do too many interior stuff these days. Yeah, here, this Watchmen stuff. And then some other artists. Not a big fan of books that have art aside from the artist I'm interested in, but when it's someone like Adam Hughes, who has so little work in like trade paperback format, I'll make exceptions, I guess. Betty and Veronica, kind of weird book to collect in like the context of like all this superhero and action stuff primarily. But if it's by Hughes, then it's by Hughes. So I feel like all these books are a little like crooked for some reason. Okay. This is weird. We got this Carlos Meglia here on its own. That should actually be over here with these others. So unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. So I was talking about that Humberto Ramos interview on Ink Pulp, and he actually cites Carlos Meglia as, I think, one of his inspirations. And you can definitely see the similar style. I didn't realize that Meglia had come first, or I'm not sure. I grew up watching the cartoon Cyber Six, and that's based on his comic. And it just, I love the style so much. The angular, like the style of hair, actually to this day, that's kind of how I try to draw hair, especially like facial hair, just like the little long rectangles as like stubble. Anyway, we'll get that shortly. Or you know what? Since I'm talking about it, may as well. I've got this Superman Infinite City book, and I do have a couple of. I've mentioned this before. I do have a couple of Cyber Six books, but they're in. I guess they must be in Spanish. And actually, looking here quickly, they're not even on this shelving unit. They must be in my kind of not overflow, but like kind of to read books if I need to, and that's just because I can't read them. I paid a lot of money to get them from, I think it was from Stuart Own. But something actually recently did, like within the past few weeks, was try to get fan translations of the Cyber Six books. So I do have that to read. I have to throw them on my iPad or something. But that would be nice. And they're kind of similar to the Ninja Turtles comics, which I actually haven't read, but I've heard about them, and how they're like a lot more mature than the cartoon adapted. So there's like a lot of nudity and stuff in the cyberpunk comics, which obviously wasn't in the cartoon. But the cartoon, if you haven't seen it, it's so good. Best like opening sequence and theme song. It's really good. There's a really cool Star Wars comic, and like really neat painting, although the contrast is maybe a little higher than I'd like. It's hard to see the detail in that. I forget which, but one of these Meglia books is like the binding is just deteriorating, so I'm just being extra careful of opening all the way so the pages don't fall out. All right, so I've only got those three, and then I've got a couple hardbound Cyber Six volumes. All right, let's get to Magic Order. So these are all by different artists, but all written by Mark Millar. Olivier Coipel, such a master. Again, I was listening to a Ink Pulp podcast episode with him, and he's super humble. But it was really interesting to hear kind of his story and how he was like this really amateur artist, but he was so talented that what do you say, like when he went to do a portfolio review, he was kind of skipped over, but then when someone came to take a closer look, it's a longer story, but they were like so impressed that they brought them to the publisher or editor or something, like, give this guy a job. And yeah, like he's so good. He's really good. Apparently he's the one who invented the chainmail armor on Thor. And so he was being interviewed. Oh no, it wasn't Ink Pulp. It was Joe Quesada's Marvel podcast. And so Joe Quesada was like, "You're really good, but like you made it a nightmare for everyone following you to have to draw this armor on Thor." Here's Stuart Immonen, who we showed a bunch of stuff before. And I guess the reason I didn't put this with the other Stuart Immonen is just because I wanted to keep this story together, because this is one of the books that I do really like for the story, even though all the artists are amazing. So Gigi Cavanago. Cavanago. Don't know about that. Don't know how to say that. Really awesome. I'd never heard of this artist before, but then, what was it? It wasn't Death, Love, and Robots, was it? It was like the video game. What was it called? There was like a animated anthology that was released recently, where there was like a World War II with like there was like a demon. There was like World War II planes, and the demon was like spawning on the plane or something. And the art style was amazing. And I could tell from the style, I was like, hey, wait a sec, I've seen this before. I went and grabbed this comic, and then I looked in the credits on that show, and it was the same. It was Gigi Cavanago. So I didn't know, like I'm not familiar with this artist at all, but really love the style. And I'd love to see more. I don't know if he or she has done more like in animation or what. So DK Ruin, I learned the pronunciation from the Inkball podcast because I think they referenced him. I don't know if they had him on, but they were referencing him. Love his work so much. Similar style to actually Olivier Coipel, actually, and like Pepe Larraz. I kind of clump all those guys together as like really solid. Like everything they do is just perfect. It's hard to explain. Okay, so we've got some more. This is more Mark Millar stuff. Jorge Jimenez, Nemesis, what is it? Nemesis Reloaded, yeah. This is Big Game by, is it Pepe Larraz? Yeah. I have, the first time I encountered Pepe Larraz is a Star Wars book I have. And I was like, I got it for the art, and I'd never heard of the artist before. But I was really impressed. And then I read through it, and I was kind of like, yeah, the art's okay. But then the next book I ever saw was, I don't remember which book, but it was like his more recent style. I was like, whoa, how did he come from that point to this point? The degree to which his style evolved, and I don't know. I guess you'd have to see examples of kind of his old work versus his current work, and I guess Greg Tocini would fall into that bucket too of like really dynamic, like they're, you can tell they're not holding back. They're doing, if they were taking photos with a camera or video camera or something, they do like these up shots and like pan shots and dynamic perspective and stuff. And it's like a lot of artists would shy away from that because it's difficult to draw, but these guys just, even in like a monthly book, they're putting this stuff out and it's just flawless. And I think that's just like really impressive. And yeah, and it's just cool to see the evolution of his style from the Star Wars book to like Big Game, for example. Here's that J.J. Abrams and Sarah McKelly book. Here's more DK Ruin, Shang-Chi. So good. America Chavez by Carlos Gomez. I think I only have like 3 of his books. I've got this and the Rogue and Gambit book, and then there's a Miss Marvel book that I also have that is on my currently reading shelf. Ultra Mega Volume 1, I was just talking about the second volume in my update video. Still got to read the second volume. We only find them when they're dead. Did I only get one of these? I think there's like 3 volumes or so. Weird kind of cover. It's just a teeny little spaceship and a bunch of text. Simone Demio, big fan. He's usually at the local convention here that I usually go to, Fan Expo. But he's never been, well, like at his table when I've gone by. But like this really good stuff. Another like artist who's really good, like dynamic composition and perspective and stuff. And it's crazy to see how he does like his pre-color, like he does his inks. He must use like a airbrush or something, because his traditional work it looks digital. It's hard to believe. You have to look it up. Look at like Google like his ink work or something. Liber Mayo, we've got a Joker and a Luther book. This is the guy who did the Batman Damned book that I showed earlier. Right? I think so. Maybe I'm misremembering that. But I think that's what inspired me to get these two books. We looked at Meglia. This is Adam Polina. Got a couple. Oh, actually, this is Timothy Green II again. Why is that there? Aeon Flux. Awesome show. And I remember this book being really good too. I got to put that back with the other Timothy Green books. All right. So Adam Polina, he did a long run on X-Force, like I want to say like 20 issues or something. So he did this X-Men Revelations, another book called Revelations, about Archangel, and this was really interesting. It was again like a kind of more grounded story about, what was he, like in boarding school or something? This was like, and like being abused by teachers or something. He did this, I think was his creator owned, he wrote it himself, Romp. Great art as usual, but the story was so cringy. I don't know if it was supposed to be or what, or if he's just not the best author, or I don't know. All right, we got some. Is it? What's the guy's name? J.H. Williams. Is that the artist? I'm always unsure about this one. Yeah, J.H. Williams III. He does this. If you haven't read these, I think I was introduced to this by one of the. Oops, there's a lot of other artists in the back. Introduced to this by. I studied. I think it was Elegy, for one of the comic courses I took in grad school. Colors by. This is Dave Stewart again. It's really cool how you can do like this really realistic coloring, but then also like these flats as well. Like, oh my God, like look at I think so actually if you look at the behind the scenes, it's J.H. Williams doing like a ink wash. So he's doing all the tones and stuff. And I think Dave Stewart's doing the colors over top of that. So it's not all Dave doing this. Is something missing? These are all kind of falling over. So yeah, then I've got Hydrology, same team, I think. Batman World's Finest is another. Gotta make these angle back so they don't fall over. All right, then we've got a couple of these solo volumes by Carl. Is this Carl Kerschel? Yeah. Just quickly go through this. I think I discovered him at a convention. Yeah, I think he had like I think he had a preview for Isola that I got from his table or something. And did he do like Gotham Academy or something? Oh, here's another book by him, Abominable Charles Christopher, which is, I guess, his webcomic. But I mentioned this in another video. I've never read the first volume, so I don't know. I never tried to read this because I'm missing that. Maybe I'll see if it's like online and if I can just read it on his website or something. I don't know. Crom Christensen. We got Bird King, Volume 1. I think I've got the second volume, but there's a third already, and I haven't got that one yet. So I like his art. It's a little simplified from like the stuff he posts on Instagram. But I guess that's to accommodate kind of doing a long form comic. Story is not the greatest. This Daniel Friedman guy, not a big fan of the writing. It's okay, but especially in the second volume, there are points where it just kind of stands out as just like straight up bad writing, like bad, like he doesn't understand basic grammar and stuff. Maybe I don't know if he's a non-native English speaker or something, but yeah, there's some weird moments there where it just some things just don't make sense at all. This is Raiders. I guess this was his first book? This guy's got a lot of like Dark Souls, Bloodborne influence in his work, and you can see that. I pointed out in the update video, he had like the Siegmeyer from Dark Souls helmet on one of his characters. It's just straight up from that. And yeah, he's got like a sketchbook I've got too. That's I think it's exclusively Souls fan art, so that's cool. That's what really got me into his art actually to begin with. But he's got kind of like the simplified kind of Mignola line art style with like the thick shadows and stuff. Guillaume Singelin, really big fan of this guy. He's got this very unique style, although he mixes it up. So he also did work for that one video game. What's it called? It's like a spaceship simulator game, I think I want to say. I forget what it's called. It got really good reviews, and I think I have the first game. I think there's 2 now, but haven't played it. I don't think it's really my style of game. But he also does a lot of Dark Souls and Bloodborne fan art. Yeah, really like his stuff. Maybe he's busy doing video games. I haven't seen him release. He has some other books that aren't in English too, but I was hoping after this PTSD book, which was excellent, that he would kind of give us some more. Really good colors too. I think, is that traditional? It kind of looks like watercolor or something. I wonder if he colored it as well. Yeah. We got some Jim Lee. I surprisingly don't have much of it, aside from the other art book on the shelf over there. This is X-Pen, Mutant Genesis, classic. Right. Divine Right, which was, I think, his creator-owned book. If I remember, the writing on this was kind of dumb, like very 90s comic book style. Did he write this also? Batman Hush. What I really like about this one is there's panels here and there that are like watercolor or like ink wash or whatever. Those really stand out there, like especially compared to this. Like this is an example of like Jim Lee's such a good artist, but the colorist, I feel like his art would shine a lot more with a different colorist maybe. There's another volume. Here's my Marian Churchland Beast. She mentioned to me the other day actually that her new book should be out like early 2026, so like January, February she's hoping. Actually, I think she gave 2 different dates in January, so hopefully it's out by then. I think she said it's like 180 pages. I don't even know what the title is. Elephant Men. She's got this unique kind of like, I think she uses a mix of like pencil crayons and markers or something. And I think she was in that same kind of friend group with Corey Lewis and Brandon Graham and Brian O'Malley and them. Although she's a fellow Canadian, all those others were kind of, I think they were in like Seattle and San Francisco. Well, no, I guess Brian O'Malley was from, I think he's Canadian. He's from I don't know if he's from Toronto, but like the Toronto area. Okay, so a couple more Corey Lewis books. Sun Bakery, is this just random comics? Oh yeah, he went real hardcore into like this dramatic coloring and like these thick kind of quick lines, and like he doesn't care if it's super rough or whatever. It's just he does his thing and he doesn't give a fuck. Peng. I have the original. He released like a serial, like standalone 30-page comic. But this has got like more material than that, obviously. It's super cute. It's like it's about, what do you even call it? Is it called kickball? Like baseball but with that big red bouncy ball. So it's all based around that, which is super cool. Here's James Stokoe, Orphan and the Five Beasts. We'll just quickly go through this. And this is, I think, like fully by him, like written, drawn, colored, right? Yeah, I think so. Volume 1. Is there a second volume coming? Or already, maybe? Sullivan Sluggers. Oh, there's going to be a long video. This shelf's already 36 minutes too. I thought this whole collection video would be like 2 hours, but this is going to be more like, I don't know, 4 or 5 hours. This is crazy. Orkstain. Really unique art style, really unique kind of writing, very silly and kind of playful, fun. Or back to Brandon Graham. I misspoke in a previous video. I was like, I think Brandon Graham and Marian Churchland are married. He was on, again, I think it was the Ink Pulp podcast. He was talking about his partner and it wasn't Marian. So I don't know why I thought that. I think I saw them both at a convention and they were sitting next to each other. And one of them said, like, was trying to encourage me to buy the other's art. And maybe that I just made the assumption that they were together and that, like, buying the art from the other supported the, buying art from one supported the other or something like that. I don't know. Weird. I shouldn't have made that assumption. Here's an Art Buck Walrus. He's got a really unique style. For a while, I was trying to copy. I like this, like rounded corners panels. He does. For a while, I was trying to copy that, and he does some erotic art too. Like I briefly showed those two books above. King City. Oof, this is a big one. He's really good with. I think this one's full of like really good puns. I think that was the highlight that that's my takeaway from this book. Oh. And, here's another Kia Asamiya. So he was the one I mentioned before who did the Star Wars manga above. He did the 2 volumes of, what's the first movie called? Why is it? Okay, I'm blanking, but episode 1. Anyway, he did this Batman book. I randomly picked this up in my local comic shop at the time, so. Here's the last shelf on this unit. I'm very conscious that this video is probably multiple hours alone just for these, 6 shelves. Okay, so let's get right to it. In the back there, we've got, this is the complete Calvin and Hobbes. I don't know if I can even. You can just trust me, maybe. Oh my God, it's like this big thick book. Well, it's 2 hardcover volumes in this giant slipcase, and I swear to God, it's like 20 pounds or something. I was hoping. Let's see. I was hoping to show at least like the spine. Yeah, there we go. 3 volumes. Damn. So I've never actually read it in this format because they're just so heavy. I don't even. It's hard to even like get them out. I have to like tilt the whole thing. Nope, that's not working. I don't know. They should have put like the little, like tab to get your thumb in so you can pull it. So you kind of have to like, tilt it to get them out. I've tried to read it. It make like a good coffee table book to just have there and like flip through. But I have a cat too, so I don't want her like getting her footprints all over it. But yeah, I have this. I really like Calvin and Hobbes, and I had like the individual volumes growing up. It makes for great like bathroom reading. Let me just put these back then. I've got a few 6 volumes of this manga here. This is called Sundome. I think they even made a live action movie of this actually. So it's not like an erotica, but it's like a definitely sexually themed book. And I think I was initially attracted to it because of the art style. Although looking back at it now, it's kind of like super basic. Well, I mean, I try not to like criticize artists or anything, but not as much my style maybe. But the story is kind of interesting, so I think that's probably more the reason why I collected so many volumes of it. I think it's gone on longer, but I just stopped at 6 because that was good enough. We've got some Jhonen Vasquez, Johnny the Homicidal Maniac. This was a big deal back in like the early 2000s, or even then, I guess late 90s actually. It's a fun book, very, very like specific audience. Squee. It's like, what, like dark humor, I guess. I haven't reread it since like high school. Let's see. So here's a classic. This is Understanding Comics by Scott McCloud. This was a recommended reading for art school. This is a classic kind of comic form textbook about understanding comics, like understanding the art form, and how it's effective and how it's best used, and examples of like what kind of effect the gutter can make on the story, what kind of impact it can have, or how the different shapes of panels can tell, can convey your ideas better. Like if you have like a kind of, if you tilt your panel, it's maybe better for like an action shot, it's more dynamic. Or if you have like the still kind of square, it's a little more kind of stoic, that kind of stuff. It's just, he has a whole series of kind of like textbooks, I guess you'd call them, where he kind of goes into the art form of comics, and it's a really, really good read, especially maybe for someone who's interested in comics but hasn't read many of them, or someone, especially more like if you want to do like a research paper, or if you want to, I don't know, I'm just kind of talking actually. It's very good. It's a very well regarded book, and him as an author especially as well. Okay, anyway. I got the first volume of Berserk. In the update video, I said I was like not going to bother opening it. But here it's a little more accessible, so. And like I was saying, I'm not as huge a fan of the art style, but the story, man, oh man. It was a massive influence on Dark Souls, and Hidetaka Miyazaki, who's the director of those games, Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Sekiro, Elden Ring. And unfortunately, he's passed away now, so I don't think he even finished it. I think maybe his assistants are working on that. But yeah, he was such a massive influence on the director of my favorite video game series that there are so many call-outs to it, like weapons and monsters and just all sorts of designs. And and I think on many other IPs, like aside from Dark Souls, from the Souls series, he's just so creative in his monster design and all that stuff. We got the is it called One Shot? One volume bone edition. So this is, again, I've never read, like Scott Pilgrim, I've never read the color version of this, but I used to work in school libraries, and at the time, that was like one of the most popular books, was the individual colored volumes of Bone. I've got Bone Tall Tales, which is, I think, just an anthology of short stories. This one is colored. I've got Rose, which is like the prequel. So this is about the adventures of like the grandma Rose, is that her name? This is by Charles Vess, written by Jess Smith, but drawn by Charles Vess. Really good, like art and story. I should actually revisit that one. That looks really fun. I can't remember. There's like a movie that Charles Vest did the concept art for or something. And there was an art book that I've had on my wish list for a long time. But I'm sure he's done others. I'm not super familiar with his work, but that's like the one other thing that I can't even remember the movie at the moment. So here's Northlanders that I was talking about before, by David Guillaume Felice. Is this the first volume? Again by Brian Wood, who did Demo and DMZ. Those are both, I think those are both Becky Cloonan. Is DMZ Becky Cloonan? I forget. Anyway, I really like Guillaume Felice's work. Don't know if I'm saying his name right, but he's got like a really unique style. Like just like look at the way he does like the forehead there, like just those extra stylized lines. Hard to kind of explain, but like, yeah, it's like those extra, like as if he worked in animation or something almost, like, not sure. I really like that though. So there's that. I think, is there, this one is, oh, this is by Ryan Kelly. So I like the story of Northlanders, but Ryan Kelly was an artist. I have another book by him. I forget what it's called. I think it's in actually my reading list. But he was one of the alumni from the Minneapolis College of Art and Design, which was like a dream school of mine when I was in high school. Who is this? Is this also Guillaume Felice? Oh, that looks like Becky Cloonan. Or maybe not. I can't remember who did art in this. Maybe looks like it's a variety of artists. Here is another Guillaume Felice though. This is Greek Street. I kind of remember the story being not so great, but awesome art as always. Not sure what he's doing these days. Isenboshi. This was in a recent update video. And I did flip through it. And I think I have a standalone video of like just going through every page. So check that out. Just really, really good. Good book in every way. Here's a book I also mentioned in an update video. I'm not sure if I showed any of the art from this one actually. I mentioned at the time that I thought it was very reminiscent of Isabelle Arsenault's style. It's got some nice color pages in there. Isabelle Arsenault is a Montreal-based artist who does, I think, primarily children's books, but she's got like a very, I don't know, very unique style that is appealing to both kids and adults, I think. Golden Age by Cyril Pedrosa. I can't remember if I flipped through this or not. I might have said it was too heavy at the time because it is quite big. Yeah, really good. Really good story. So there's 2 volumes of this one. Here's the other one. Won't bother flipping through that. Try to keep this short. Equinoxes. This was in a recent update video. I think I did flip through it. Really love his work. I forgot how many I have of his actually. Portugal. Oh, right, this is the one about the young man who lives like with the older man and they're artists, or it's been a while since I read this one. Can't remember. Oh, and like he's like kind of living abroad and traveling around and stuff and meeting all these people and yeah. Swallow is, I think this is one of the Ashley Wood curated books. So it's just a bunch of artists. This is my understanding, Jim Food. Camilla Derrico, a bunch of artists that he's a fan of and wanted to highlight. That was my understanding. Barnaby Ward. There's one artist in here in particular that I think I was big fan of it. It was probably the main reason I got this book. Was it? I do like Barnaby Ward. Really like that. But wasn't there another? Maybe I'm thinking of it. Oh no, yeah, it was this one. This one. Who is this artist? Sam Weber. Great stuff. This is The Arrival. This is a silent comic. I mentioned that I was a school librarian for a number of years. I remember in libraries there's a term called ILL, it's interlibrary loan, where one library will borrow books from another library for whatever purpose. Anyway, and I remember I had an ILL request by another library. The librarian was doing a unit on wordless comics, and it was really cool. It was fun to go through our own collection and try and dig out as many of those as we could. So they typically, like if it was in a school division where there's like 50 schools in a city, they're all part of the same division, they'll send out the email to like the whole group, all librarians from across the whole city, and whoever has the books to fill the request will reply, and then eventually, hopefully, the requesting librarian will get all the books that they're requesting, but maybe from like multiple libraries. And then that part of their job is when they're finished using those books, they have to remember to return them to the right place. But usually like school library books will have like the branding for that location, so it's not that much of a hassle. This is Razzle. This is by Jeff Smith, the artist of Bone. So I think this was 3 volumes. I only have the first 2. I never got the third one, but I did read the whole thing at one point. I think I read the collected edition, maybe like at the library or something. And it was a really fun story. I seem to recall the ending wasn't very satisfying for me, but overall, I think it was really good. This is Dave McKean. Is this like short stories / an art book or something? I don't know if I've ever even fully read this. Here's another, seems like another obvious influence on Ashley Wood's style, where it's like a combination of painting and line drawing. But obviously he's like a classic master. And then the final book on the shelf, this is just a random book that I picked up, I think on Amazon actually. I had an itch to buy something new. I'm just looking for new artists to discover, which is kind of hard online. Well, I guess easier these days with like Instagram and stuff. But like if you just look at browsing on Amazon, it's harder to tell like just from a cover and a few sample pics. But yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, and actually that's it for this shelving unit. After this, I'm gonna, I lied. One more book was hidden back there. This is actually that Pepe Larraz Star Wars book I was talking about. This is based on Kanan, who's one of the main characters from the Star Wars Rebels TV show. And this is really cool because it expands on the story from that show. But like you can look at the Pepe Larraz's style compared to the style that I showed in the Big Game book. Like it's drastically different. Like this is a lot more cartoony. It's not quite as confident or consistent in like the anatomy and shapes and stuff. Whereas Big Game is just like, he has mastered drawing and now he can do whatever he wants and everything looks flawless in it. That's really cool to see an artist evolve like that. All right, so we'll move on to my satellite collections